Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Becki.
We are registered dietitians that are passionate about using food as medicine and functional medicine approaches.
In today's video, we're going to be unpacking our Beat the Bloat protocol that we've now seen thousands of clients go through. We will be talking about some of those results that they've had, as well as unpacking the focused formulas and synergistic ingredients in our supplements in this cleanse, and talking a little about diet support.
A lot to cover in one quick video. So
we can do it.
Yes, the big areas of focus that I want to highlight for you guys are on digestion, fertility, skin health, and also mood. So digestion is probably the most common reason of why people would do the Beat the Bloat Cleanse. They're dealing with bloating or distension, they're dealing with GI cramping, irregular bowel formation of either diarrhea or constipation. When you do the Beat the Bloat protocol, you're literally plowing the garden bed of the gut. So you kind of think of, as we've discussed in past videos, probiotics are like the selected flowers of the garden bed. And if your body does not have ample probacteria, you're not going to have ideal digestive environment. If you have weeds overgrowing, which could be seen as pathogenic bacteria or yeast overgrowth, you need to plow the garden beds to reset and create space. And that's just what Beat the Bloat Cleanse does. The second reason for fertility is interesting because we actually have something called the estrobolome. This is the intercommunication of our microbiome with our sexual hormone balance. We see often with infertility, individuals tend to have elevated insulin levels. They tend to also have issues with cycle regulation and length. And some of the compounds in our cleanse directly address this beyond the estrobolome effect. And then in the skin, we see the number one tool for dermatologists to be antibiotics. But long-term use of things like doxycycline can sterilize the biome, creating more inflammation in the body and set you up for future food sensitivities and intolerance, as well as compromised immune function. When you do the Beat the Bloat Cleanse, you can use these natural antibacterial and antifungal compounds to literally reset the microbiome, which is showing that imbalance coming out through your skin. We've seen awesome outcomes with clinical cystic acne and beyond, including things like psoriasis and rashing and hives. And the last area that I want to focus on is mood. So I have an entire chapter of the anti-anxiety diet devoted to resetting the microbiome and a quiz to assess if you're in a dysbiotic state. That's because your enteric nervous system of your gut manufactures 80 to 90% of the serotonin that influences that feel-good brain chemistry. And we also make GABA, a neuroinhibitory kind of landing gear for our stress response when we have a symbiotic balanced gut. But if we're in a state of dysbiosis or bacterial overgrowth, our body actually puts out more epinephrine or adrenaline, and this can drive panic attacks and anxiety, keeping people feeling literally unsafe in their system, and it's their gut telling them that ish ain't right.
And certainly we've seen results even beyond this with the microbiome very intrinsically connected to our immune system.
Totally.
Autoimmune disease will often use this as kind of a foundational tool to plow and reset that microbiome. And I know we personally have been through now a couple of rounds each, at least, of the Beat the Bloat Cleanse. I personally have seen resolution of hormonal acne and irregular cycles, as well as bowel regularity improved with a couple of rounds of cleanse.
Yes. I've personally done 4 rounds, and my first one ever, I believe, played a huge role with my pregnancy with Stella. I was on the 10th or 11th month of infertility, and 1 week following the Beat the Bloat Cleanse, I got a positive fertility test. Yep. So the rest is history. So now we're going to unpack the formulas. There's 4 products that we use in our Beat the Bloat Cleanse. 2 of them are antimicrobial, antifungal compounds. One of them is focused on detoxification, and another is a particular form of a probiotic that creates space for the bacterial reset. Let's start with the Herbal Immune by you, Becki.
Yes, so Herbal Immune is a fantastic formula that is made of encapsulated essential oils, including oregano oil, which you may have heard of for being helpful with eradicating yeast in the body, but can be helpful on a grand scheme of bacteria and yeast overgrowth in inhibiting those. And then we can also see it supporting upper respiratory health and immune health in general. We also have in this formula thyme oil, which falls into that same family as the oregano. It's an antimicrobial, antifungal, antiviral. And then the lemon balm in there is really cool because it can actually help to support progesterone status in the body and also aid with fluid retention and PMDD. So a great thing to use actually on its own when you're having those symptoms around your menstrual cycle.
Yeah, so some individuals find benefit of using the Herbal Immune pulsed in like days 23 or 24 for those last 4 to 5 days of their cycle, and that really helps as a diuretic. There's also sage in there, and sage has beneficial influence on the uterus as well. In fact, we had used a discount code SAGE that at one point when we were talking about my last Beat the Bloat Cleanse on the podcast.
Yes, so you might need to sage your uterus for a hormonal reset.
Yes. So the next one I'm actually going to jump over is the berberine boost. So berberine is also a powerful known antimicrobial, antifungal, and antibacterial compound. And the berberine comes from Oregon grapefruit. I showed Becki that when we were hiking in Seattle, Washington. It grows all over in the forest there. And we had pulled it out and scratched off the dirt and taken a bite. And berberine is extremely bitter. And the bitter alkaloid influence, it creates like a pooling of saliva, right, when you start to chew it. Well, Becki always says this is much more pleasant.
Yeah, I'd rather take the
swallow
supplement.
the tablet than chewing on the root. But that really alkaloid activity plays a powerful role of killing off the bacteria overgrowth in the body. And what's also awesome about berberine is there is clinical research that shows that it can actually favorably support healthy uterine tissue and can reset areas of the uterus that have abnormal cells. So it can be a really powerful player in healthy tissue. Also, we know that the berberine has been shown in research compared to metformin, which is an oral hypoglycemic or diabetic drug. So again, with infertility world, a lot of individuals have insulin resistance and blood sugar dysregulation. So metformin is often used as a medication in the world of infertility. But doing the berberine boost, you're going to get the blood sugar regulation, the actual uterine impact, the bacterial and microbiome impact, and we see benefits beyond metformin where the berberine can actually favorably influence our cholesterol as well. This formula also has a blend of traditional Chinese medicine herbs that help to accelerate or activate the function of the berberine, and coptis, which is also known as golden thread and has been shown to have favorable outcomes in autoimmune conditions, especially skin conditions such as psoriasis.
So it could be used potentially on its own for someone who's dealing with a skin condition, or our PCOS patients will often have them on the berberine long-term instead of something like metformin.
Yeah, or even an early diabetic to help to manage their blood sugar levels.
Yes. And then our GI cleanup formula. So during our Beat the Bloat protocol, we actually have you, if you are taking a probiotic supplement actively, we'll have you stop taking your probiotic and start just using our GI cleanup as your only probiotic during the cleanse. And this probiotic has this special macrophage action, which means that it's kind of like little Pac-Man that eat away at that bacterial and yeast die-off to help to clean things up and move it all out.
Yes, and there is a little bit of probacteria in there as well to create that space for the repollination of your garden bed, if you will. And finally is ultimate detox. So we talked about the importance of detox in our video on coping with the Candida cleanse or coping with the gut cleanse. As you are breaking down the overgrowth of yeast or bacteria, there is going to be debris or die-off, and this releases endotoxins, which can create side effects like fatigue, muscle aches, brain fog, or even exacerbated digestive symptoms. So the ultimate detox is just phase 2 detox support, providing amino acids that aid in encapsulation and excretion or removal of the debris that's liberated from the cleanse.
So definitely a really intentional protocol during that 6 weeks where you'll be taking these formulas multiple times throughout the day. And then I think it's really important to note too that it's not enough to just add supplements in and throw those in. We need to kind of harness the diet and pull out things that could be driving bacteria and yeast overgrowth in the first place.
Yeah, you don't want to run up a downhill escalator. You want to both starve off the overgrowth by restricting the excess sugar in the diet.
Yeah.
So we remove all yeasted foods, and this does include vinegar. We limit vinegar significantly down to a teaspoon a day because vinegar can also feed and activate yeast in the body. And then we restrict your carbohydrate total to 60 grams a day. The Beat the Bloat ebook really will walk you through what this looks like, as well as providing you 2-week meal plan and a grocery list. But the entire protocol is going to be grain-free because grains are adhesive. You know, if you've ever boiled rice or quinoa, there's that stickiness on your pot. That adhesive nature can really interfere with the cleanse process. So we want your carbohydrates coming from only one choice of a starchy vegetable and a choice of fruit, choosing from the lower glycemic fruit options. And if you're keto and you're keeping your carbs at less than 30 grams a day, that's totally fine. You can just stay with your current diet. Just be mindful of the other ingredients that we have listed in the protocol that may interfere with your progress.
Yes, and then beyond the removal of yeasted foods and removal of excessive carbohydrate and grain, we'd also want to be mindful of removing any fermented foods. So like I said, we take out your probiotic if you're taking one, and sure, fermented foods can be really beneficial, but in the individual who's dealing with intolerance of those probiotics, we want to pull those and restrict those so we're not getting this like battle in the belly as we're working to kill off yeast or bacteria. So we'd pull things like kombucha, sauerkraut, or other fermented foods at least for the first 4 weeks. And then we actually strategically have you test those foods to see if you tolerate them better after you've done that kind of initial plowing of the field.
Yes, so at 5 weeks of your 6-week protocol, we'll have you bring in a probiotic food to really assess if your body is tolerating it. Then that means that you're on the right track and that you're only going to do a 6-week cleanse. However, if you do a reintroduction of probiotic foods and you feel like a bomb's blowing up in your belly, or you start to have die-off symptoms that are exacerbated, or stool irregularities and feedback from your body that it's not ready for the probiotic, then we actually have you hold probiotics and extend your cleanse for an additional 2 weeks. So your 6-week protocol becomes an 8-week protocol, and then you'll reintroduce those probiotics following that 2-week extension.
Yes, and for individuals who are dealing with severe dysbiosis or maybe suspected or known parasite, we might even layer on at that point additional antimicrobials like our GI Reset formula, which is a broad spectrum antifungal, anti-parasitic.
Yeah, so that has black walnut in there and caprylic acid, more synergistic formulas to really catch that wide web. So when we developed this protocol, again, after 10 years of clinical experience, I have found that these particular formulas do cover a wide scope. So this could serve as a Candida cleanse, this could serve as a gut pathogen dysbiosis cleanse, and this could even be a foundation for parasite, but I would for sure then layer on that GI Reset.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. And I want to also mention that we've covered in a podcast episode that I'll link below SIBO versus dysbiosis, or was it versus Candida?
SIBO and Candida deep dive, I think it's called.
Yeah,
like that.
Because often it can be so confusing, the overlap of symptoms. As a clinician, my end point is my intervention going to change based on the data? So if you're going to invest into a stool test or a breath test to assess for what is going on in your gut, you may find better value to just first plow and reset your microbiome doing the Beat the Bloat Cleanse. I've just seen too often this protocol working as a first line of defense. So instead of investing in understanding exactly what strain may be off or what particularly you have, doing this gut reset is likely going to create favorable outcomes. And then if you aren't fully there, you can do some deeper investigative digging.
Yes, a whole heck of a lot cheaper than a lot of that testing out there, and definitely can yield outcomes just within the 6 weeks alone.
All right, so let's think of some frequent asked questions on the supplements. The Herbal Immune is taken without food. So we commonly do this first thing at rise and then like mid-afternoon. Because like Becki said, it is the essential oils that are encapsulated, you will get a little bit of belching. It uses an aromatic influence, basically popping the yeast and bacterial overgrowth. I find it quite pleasant, but...
I tell clients to look for that as a sign that it's working, right?
Yes.
It's like exploding these little guys in your gut and getting rid of them, and that's a good thing.
Yes, but if taking it first thing in the morning causes nausea, you can always bump that first one to like 10 a.m., maybe between your breakfast and lunch, and then still do that second one in the afternoon. The berberine boost performs best with food, so you're taking 2 tablets twice daily with meals. And then the GI cleanup for the first 2 weeks, we take 1 at rise and 1 at bed. And then we follow the final 4 weeks with just taking 1 a day. And the ultimate detox, we recommend 1 to 2 at rise and rest. But many clients that have that die-off feedback in their body will even layer on our Reset, Restore, Renew detox packs, because that does provide the liver gallbladder support as well as the antioxidants, and it provides 3 of the ultimate detox in each pack.
Yes, we addressed that a little bit in our Coping with the Candida Cleanse video, so go on over and check that out as well if you are planning or are in the midst of doing the Beat the Bloat Cleanse and feel that you need a little bit of extra support.
And most people tend to experience some of that die-off within like days 5 through 15, I would say. So towards the latter end of the first week and definitely within that second week. If you have not experienced any changes, no changes in bowel formation or the total mass output, or you're not seeing any of the die-off feedback from your body, that's an indication that you may need to level up and layer in that GI reset.
Okay, so hopefully this helps to take a little bit of a deeper dive into what our Beat the Bloat protocol is all about. Again, linked below, we have the Beat the Bloat Cleanse formulas as well as our ebook, which goes into much more detail, even includes phase 1 and phase 2 meal plans for the first phase and the second phase of the cleanse. So if you liked today's video, go ahead and drop a comment below. Let us know what you found helpful and what else you'd like to see us cover in the world of gut health. And also please like and subscribe to our channel.
That was awesome. I thought that was good. Don't you think?
When I
that's
sit,
good.
I can't breathe
I think
as
it's
much.
nice.
And
Dude, those